Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another thrill-packed Friday afternoon into the evening, and if you're in Europe, deep into the night. Um, Ask Us Anything with Greg and Art. We've got a guest this afternoon, this evening, wherever. Um, we've got Kevin from a good group, TWAIN. We're going to talk a lot about a whole bunch of different stuff and ask some questions. But Kevin's group, TWAIN Direct, I'm sorry, it's TWAIN's Working Group, and I'll let Kevin explain a little bit more about it. But congratulations, Kevin, as you're the very first and bravest, I might add, sponsor to the at Ask Art and Greg Anything question. Because when we say anything, we have, I mean, 3 weeks ago, we were talking about cats and dogs living together. It was anarchy, pure anarchy.
Yes.
So
We were. Well, it's a pleasure to be with you guys, and glad to be the first. Love to lead the charge. So it's
we'll
really
be
always
gentle.
no, bring it on, because it's going both ways here. Okay.
Good.
Good.
All right. Yeah. Well, it is what, February? Jeez.
Second,
February
Groundhog Day.
2nd.
Groundhog
Oh, it's
Day.
Groundhog Day. Did he see it or not? I didn't even.
He did not see a shadow, so early spring.
Oh, isn't that great? So we've got AI, but we don't need it. And
Yeah.
then I was thinking the other day, here we go. First thing off we've got all these weather predictors now, right? And climate change and everything like that. I wonder how well it coordinates with the Farmer's Almanac. You guys remember the Farmer's Almanac, right?
Well, we'll see. Let's that'd be a good first question. But Neil, if you could tell us more about the TWAIN Working Group, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So let me give you I have my standard pitch of what the TWAIN Working Group is. A nonprofit organization for about 30 years, and we established a specification that connects imaging hardware devices to software applications. That's what we've done a long time. We're used by tens of millions of devices daily and probably capture tens of millions of documents per day through all the machines that we are integrated with. So that's cool, right? But what's new and what I want to share with you guys is that now that we're getting more adoption with the TWAIN Direct project, and TWAIN Direct is just an API version of the TWAIN Classic specification. And what that means is that because it's an API, it's easier to integrate. It's a RESTful API, so developers that know RESTful commands, which there's millions of them, it's mobile friendly, it's networkable. So TWAIN Direct is our new project. So what's new is that we've got more hardware companies and software companies now embracing this and actually doing projects. So it's not just our assumptions as the TWAIN Working Group that this kind of connectivity for cloud and mobile and to connect to AI systems and IDP systems, that was our dream, but it's neat to see it really start to take hold. So instead of talking about the technology too much, we have new ISV partners like Sierra Business Technologies and Verve Corporation and other ISVs and hardware JSE Imaging just joined our group. They're a SDK company out of Germany. So there's all kinds of SDK companies, hardware companies, application ISV companies, even systems integrators are considering being part of the TWAIN Working Group because they see the strategic value of being able to connect your hardware devices and capture images easily into your business applications, your workflows, into, like I said, AI systems, right? AIs, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, but, I just got to say it and then I'll stop. So in the TWAIN acronym, TWAIN,
I was going to ask, yeah.
There is an AI, right? And so
right in the middle.
Yeah, there is.
Smack dab in the middle. And we've been around 30 years, so we invented AI, right?
I love it. Actually, it's funny. I'm referring to AI with not a capital I anymore either. Small I.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Art, let me jump in real quick because I can't believe I didn't think of it until just now. So TWAIN is a standard. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to repeat what TWAIN is a standard that I'm familiar with in the olden days of scanning. Right? It was a scanning if it was TWAIN compliant.
Driver. Scanning driver.
So you had driver.
Your machine either came with it or without it.
Right. And that became the default scanning protocol, for lack of a better word, right? Is that correct?
You can say in the beginning, yes, right,
yeah.
right. But as multifunctional machines evolved, they went from a pull scan to a push scan. Of course, TWAIN would be the pull scan, right? Meaning
Right.
a user would walk up to the MFP device or the scanner, put their documents in, go back to their PC, open their software and say, scan,
Okay.
right?
All right. So I understand that, and that's exactly what I remember. That's a long time ago. Okay. So TWAIN is a group, a nonprofit group that came up with that standard, and now you're moving that standard into other areas. Is that my understanding of what you said? Make it a connector between hardware and other applications. Is that like an API, or help me
Yeah,
understand?
let me describe some real use case scenarios.
Okay.
Is that right now, even though the TWAIN Working Group has published a specification for all these years, and we're on version 2.5 right now, that's our
Okay.
latest. But what happens is people have taken the specification and haven't really strictly followed it. So one manufacturer would be TWAIN, yes, but it would be kind of a not following the guidelines, and then another one. So you got or the
Hybrids.
true intent of it was kind of lost.
Okay.
So with TWAIN Direct, example, these are real life examples. You have a big organization, and in that organization, they have scanner company A and MFP vendor B, and this copy machine.
Right.
C. So you have mixed environments of manufacturers and model numbers, and then you have all this inconsistency.
Never
And
happens.
exactly. It's a mess. So you can imagine if you can go on one standard where your software application, maybe your medical records application can talk directly to all of those devices in a unified kind of way. So all TWAIN Direct does is send a task. It basically says, hey, send one task that I create. And if the scanner or the copy machine doesn't understand that feature, maybe I send a task that has ultrasonic double feed detection. It's a very kind of obscure thing that if 2 pages go through there, it's got a sound wave and it can detect it, but it's very unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Isn't
Go
it
ahead.
used on ATM machines, that software?
I think so, yeah, because you
Okay.
don't want to have a bunch of bills put out there.
Yeah,
And,
too many $100 bills coming out.
it would be good for the receiver.
There's no
right?
such thing, Art. Yeah.
See, it doesn't happen. So the ultrasonic sensors are good.
Sorry to
But-
interrupt.
No, that's a great example. But that's kind of an obscure thing in the
Okay.
scanner business. It's a professional feature. But anyways, if the copy machine didn't support it, then it would just ignore that task. So the point is that for an ISV, you can integrate directly to the device. You don't have to install a scanner driver on the PC and capture software, and you talk directly to hardware. So you eliminate all that security risk, you eliminate all the costs, you eliminate all the burden, and it's a more unified way. So you can talk to different manufacturers. Just this morning, one of these systems integrators that are considering joining the group, that's exactly what they wanted to do. So that now we have a customer. The customer's not going to go out and replace all their thousands of scanners to get, a new version with TWAIN Direct inside. They want to find some kind of way to get some more longevity out of those devices. So that's kind of where TWAIN Direct really is shining. It's still early days, let's be honest, right?
That's good. I love that.
Yeah, but like I said in the introduction, now we have hardware, software. There was always this chicken and egg. The hardware people wouldn't support it because there wasn't enough software support, and then the software people wouldn't do it because their hardware support. So
right.
then we're getting a happy medium where everybody says, "Okay, well, now I better get on." This FOMO, fear of missing out. You got to get on board. So it's an exciting time, especially as the marketing chair for the TWAIN Working Group, right? Everybody at the working group's been pushing this uphill, and now, the phone's ringing, people are coming in. So very exciting time.
Awesome. So I got a question for you, right?
Yep.
Well, maybe not a question. Well, TWAIN, right? Acronym, right? Yes, no?
So
Because,
you know what it stands for, right?
well, I learned it as technology without any interesting name.
Correct.
Is that the case?
So the truth is, it never ever did have any true meaning. So people
really?
so it was technology without an interesting name, or tool without an interesting name. So as a group, we've never had an official meaning for TWAIN. I don't know where it came from. I think it was just, there's something that bridges the divide. So that was what it's all about. But
It's like I know one name. Icon.
Oh, okay.
That was never officially, oh yeah, that's what we named, but I know one name. That was it.
Oh,
We all call it that.
got it.
If people remember Icon, they probably don't. So, wow.
Cool.
Okay.
But the good thing is, you know, TWAIN has a very good reputation. You know, as a nonprofit group, we don't have dedicated employees, but we give outstanding support on our forums, phone calls, emails, engagements, our membership. I think everybody that joins our membership is very happy because even though we might be competing vendors to a certain point, we're still have a common cause. And our charter is to help people. It really is, right? There, and
Amazing.
I'll give you another bit of evidence. You
Mhm.
know, there's a scanner manufacturer that's exiting the business as we speak. It's unfortunate, and people that have their scanners are caught in a tough situation where they can't use all the functionality. So, you know, as a I see on the forums, people are helping and whatnot, and we feel an obligation to help as much as we can too. So it's really a great, fantastic group of different people that are striving to help people. And you know, and Greg and our, you know, I'll just say this out loud is that we don't have any expectations in the scanning and capture industry that like there's going to be huge volumes of scan needs. We think it's going to be flat or uh, taper off over time because EDI and things are born electronic, and that should happen because that's a good for people and efficiency. But I don't think in our lifetime that scanning is going away. You know, the maybe the volume of documents scanned isn't so important, but the importance and the quickness and the efficiency to get something directly into your application instead of, oh, it's got to go through the capture process and then the
Mhm.
OCR process and release export script and like all these, you had to have a bunch of technologies in between to get something into your system. So if it's easier, then it increases the likelihood of adoption because it's easy, affordable. Oh, and that's another thing. We're an open source software, so guess what? In the case of a scanner manufacturer that exits as a business, guess what? You could still use the TWAIN
Mhm.
technology because the
Mhm.
community's supporting it, right? And you can develop and you can support yourself. So it's really a bet on your future when you use TWAIN technologies.
Wow.
Well,
So, boy, I have a bunch of questions, but if you don't mind, Art, I'll just dive right in. So I'm pretty tight with the Management Services Association, another nonprofit organization. It's like herding cats to get stuff done, right? Because we're all volunteers and we got all these other things. But what's interesting about the MPSA is that you drop your logos when you walk in the door, and it sounds like that's what you just said, right? It's for the benefit of. Now, the MPSA doesn't develop any software or anything, and it's not at a standards level, but same, I'd say it's a few levels below that. And then with it's TWAIN Direct is the name of the organization is TWAIN or TWAIN Working
yeah,
Group. I want to
yeah,
reference it correctly.
the organization is TWAIN Working Group and the
Okay.
project is TWAIN Direct.
Got it. Okay. So we're talking about hardware. And you mentioned earlier, so talk to me a little bit about how that figures in with connecting different pieces of software. And
Yeah.
I'll back up a little and give a little, maybe some context here. The the Holy Grail has been just that, right? I'll go way back. DBase 3, Fortran, COBOL lists. I have all sorts of different databases in different applications, right? But they don't talk to each other. May be more complex. But did I hear you say there that you're building bridges between applications, or did I miss? What is your role in that?
So what we've done is we've basically taken the specification and made it an API that can be embedded in the hardware. So basically, it's basically like a little web server in the scanner, and
Okay.
it advertises itself on the network via MDNS service. That's kind of technical, but the point is that the scanner says, "Hey, I'm here. You know, discover me." And then you use like a service like a bonjour service and the application will query the network and find all the scanners on the network and say, okay, I got these 10 scanners available. So first of all, that's the first thing is that
Okay.
connectivity because these are IoT devices because
Right.
we're not using USB, we're using the Ethernet, we're using Wi-Fi, we're using 5G, we're using network interface. That's number one. So discoverability is really important. Then the next thing
Okay.
is once you discover it, then we're advertising the API via that little kind of, well, I'm using embedded web server, right? So it's got like, just like your home routers, if anybody uses a home router, you have an embedded web interface. So you log in as an administrator, you do a little configuration, and you don't have to install any software. You can just go to the IP address of the router. So these scanners now have that web interface that has the API. So to answer your question, Greg, an ISV, all they have to do is just understand the RESTful API. And it's very easy for a developer, like get scanner list. And it's in plain English almost. Even I'm not a software developer, but I can even say, I understand an API that says get scanner list, then start scan, and then create this kind of PNG or PDF art, right? So that's the thing, is that because you can advertise the scanner on the network, you can find it, you can discover it, then it's got the driver inside. That's what it is. It's like the analogy we like to use is like it's TWAIN Direct inside, just like Intel inside. Remember the stickers on the laptop computers? So we've got TWAIN Direct inside the scanner. So then the software company can just create an application. So it's a standard way that you can connect to all these kind of different devices without any kind of install software. So that's the future. Yeah.
What so boil it down tactically. I mean, that's very strategic and tactical, but what would a dealer benefit from by associating with TWAIN, or you know, what benefits does that bring to him and his clients?
So the hardware business, from what I understand, is very commoditized, very low margin anymore. It's hard to make money on that. So of course you want to sell hardware as much as you can, but if you can't, you could sell other kind of services. So if you can go in and benefit your customer by saying, hey, you know what? You don't have to rip and replace all your stuff. I can find a way to retrofit kind of some of your existing stuff. So maybe you could sell them more Office 365 licenses. Maybe you could sell them, some other kind of service. So that's number one, is that kind of
so instead of getting rid of hardware that is quote out of date, right, we slide in with that particular key or glue between the two, and then that allows it to be seen and communicated with. That's
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
It's kind of an analogy I like to use. It's like kind of your Swiss Army knife. You come out here and you say, okay, I could do this. So that's number two. And then it gets you into other kind of business opportunities to talk about workflow and all that kind of stuff. Number three, which hasn't been done yet because TWAIN Direct is so new, is that dealers can start offering managed scan services because with TWAIN Direct, you could set up basically a cloud service and you can manage your customer scanners over the internet, right? You could say, I have customer A and B and C on my server. You segregate them. You make sure that, the logins aren't commingled. We can actually offer that. And then the customer has a physical scanner at their location, but they don't have a server. They don't have a software. They don't have all that kind of stuff. So it changes. That dealer from, low margin hardware sales, one-time sale, to software as a service, managed scan services kind of revenue.
Go ahead, Art.
Thinking, right? Larger corporation, they've got multiple MFPs, multiple scanners, and they want to direct every MFP and scanner to one location on the network, right? I've seen it before, we all just scan to this one destination and then we work from there. But as far as I'm thinking how TWAIN Direct can help a company is that they can pre-program the scan settings via your software for each piece of hardware. So whenever they scan, it would be searchable. When they scan to that location, right? It would be a destinate. It would be, of course, default to that location, but it would always do double-sided. It would always do maybe a despeckle, a deskew, or even omit blank pages.
Yep.
Am I on the right path there?
Nailed it. Like centralized workflow, and we've experienced this, right?
I can see that.
But let me be clear. TWAIN Direct is just the scanner connectivity protocol, right?
Right.
What you're talking about needs an application provider to do something like that. So in our case, P3ID, my company has developed this. So, but other people
Oh,
can too. So centralized workflow. So Art, what you're describing, set up one workflow and have consistency through your whole entire, digital workflow process. In other words, because what happens right now, if I have 50 scanners, I have to remote desktop to each computer, change the resolution from 300 to 200 on each system, enable blank
okay.
page deletion, all those kind of things, right?
Yep.
So you can imagine I change one setting on the server, it pushes it out to all the well, it doesn't even do it on the scanners. It just connects to the scanners. It comes through the workflow, and then whatever happens on the server happens on the server, right? So the time savings for IT is tremendous, and you have consistency because what happens is, oh, this scanner is like not, it doesn't have good OCR performance, and you find out, oh, I'm scanning at only 100 resolution, 100 DPI resolution, right?
Correct.
And
Yep.
I'm like, darn it, I got to change this setting. And we've experienced this. So we had a customer that had 31 locations and we had to fine tune the OCR because it wasn't doing good. So if I had to change that on each desktop or each scanner, oh my God, it would have taken forever. But I was just changing the setting, we test, and then we finally fine tuned it perfectly. And we had the perfect profile.
Wow.
So
I'm getting
that
deja
was-
vu. It's almost like I think it was WebJet admin that did that for HP printers,
HP.
right?
Oh man,
Yeah.
love that's the same. It's great. It's the
Okay.
same concept. It's exactly that, but it's not unique to HP. It's the same
Yeah,
concept.
that
Is
was
universal.
yeah.
And would it get rid of that person who always is curious about the machine settings and goes in and presses a crap load of buttons, and all of a sudden they're saying,
You're
well,
never gonna get rid of that. Where'd
What
the
hap-
scanner go?
what happened to my scans?
Well, we have a concept of quick scan. So all you could do is just press a button. That's all you could do. So you can't change. You might be able to pick a profile, but the profiles have fixed settings and fixed destinations. So
Yes.
I read a story about somebody scanning to email, and they were scanning to, this was military, and they were scanning and then physically typing in the email addresses.
Yeah.
And it was on like a software keyboard, so it was really hard to type. And they were
Right.
and instead of the military government, they were sending it to Malaysia because they like MIL is Malaysia, and it was military was like something very like just ML. So it's like close, but people were mistyping it, and they were sending important documents to the different country. So
Classic.
but yes, consistent, controlled workflows. That's what you're saying. Yes.
That's interesting. All right.
Nice.
So let's talk a little bit, because I was on the a call earlier today with the company MyQ that they've got this whole mobility scanning, they're print from the cloud kind of stuff, right? But also, as we talked, it's interesting. They're talking the same track as you are, and I think this is in our industry, at least by cutting edge innovators. It's like, this is what it is today, but we know it's not going to be this all the time. And this that they're talking about is print volume, and these guys are like even printing. So we're looking at different ways to evolve without saying it, right? Evolve or add to an environment that includes more than printing. So they've got all the scan stuff and workflow and blah, 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 all from the phone. Oh, and AI and chatbot and all the stuff about artificial intelligence. They've got not on the whiteboard. It's off the whiteboard. It's in the development. But so for this conversation, how does, say, individuals who are just scanning, quote unquote, from their phone, right? And God bless it, I wish this was what it was maybe 10 years ago when I was doing freaking assessments out in the field, walkthroughs, and Art, you guys, you know what this is like. And here, give me all your invoices. I had to grab all the invoices, take them into the office, scan them in, send them back, whatever. But just to take a picture of the floor plan that's on the wall, right? Because we didn't have maps.
Yep.
That was a huge, great. Well, it hasn't been updated for 4 years. I don't care. Let's go.
Or
right?
what do you mean you don't have a floor plan in the office?
Yeah, it's like that's it. So how does this figure in with that whole mobility thing and the whole work from home and things like that, and the I'll call it the cloud for now, but tell me your feelings and your perceptions and stuff around those lines.
I'm gonna give you a really complicated. No. This would be a simple answer, but it's gonna have multiple parts. First of all, MyQ, they're awesome. Like they're really good, excellent, like company and really really integrated. Like they have this vision of a standard work. I've seen their interface. So nice big giant buttons, just press a button and they integrate with all kinds of different manufacturers and machines. And they're kind of like you remember NSI Auto Store?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
NSI or and the e-copy systems, which
E-copy,
are
yeah.
very,
Oh
very
my
popular with dealers.
God. Yeah.
Extremely
You know,
popular.
but
DocSend from Icon.
yeah, all those things, and they're very popular. Dealers loved them, you know, and
they were
users
cool.
love the simplicity. But guess what? Those are very complicated systems to maintain. You know why? Because you had to have each vendor's SDK
Mhm.
or you know, to control that.
SDK means what for the people who don't know? Just
Oh yeah, sorry, software developers kit. And it means that's the way that you interface to their system, because all these they run an operating system, then they run some middleware. In order to communicate through their device, you had to use their proprietary kind of technologies. So, you know, if you're just supporting a couple devices, but MyQ and NSI and eCopy and DocSend, they support a lot of hundreds of devices, right? And that was like you had to have armies of developers to maintain that kind of infrastructure. And number two, that was traditionally behind a firewall. This wasn't like internet connected stuff, because
Oh
these
yeah.
these systems were around, you know, before that. So
Novell.
yeah, to your point, Greg, to use a phone, this is on the internet. This usually isn't on a Wi-Fi network, right? So you have to have the network negotiate through the internet to some kind of cloud server that then has all these devices connected. So it's a very different kind of connectivity, even though you might be physically right next to the machine, like my scanner's right here, right? So I would need to log on to a web application that then has my scanner registered and use it. So I can imagine the use case, Greg, is that especially with the copy machines generally come with kind of big screens, but the scanners, even the network scanners, they don't have screens because that adds a lot of cost to manufacturing and the bill of materials. So so the scanner manufacturers are in a good position actually, because they're decreasing screen size or get rid of them altogether. Then how do you interface it with it? So it's bring your own device. So imagine a
Right.
very savvy dealer ISV. You just say, hey, walk up. I want to use a near field communication. It's got a little, because most of us has little NFC chips in the
Yep.
phones,
Yeah.
Yep.
and that scanner can detect it and say, hey, you know, Art's close to my scanner. I assume you want to use it. It starts warming it up, you know, get the lamps ready, and then just maybe even prompt you. Just say, hey, would you like to scan, Art? And then you just say, yeah, click. And then you say, hey, where do you want to send it? And you say, hey, maybe even just talk to it. Hey, yeah, I want to scan and I want to send it to my QuickBooks. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, yeah, that's what they have. They have the NFC and they have their stickers and their tags that they tag the devices with,
Right.
and they use verbal. They developed that 3 years ago for handicap. I didn't, you know, hate to say it, I didn't even think about it. Like I think Art and I might have. Well, who wants to go talk to their copier machine?
We're talking about it last week.
People who can't push the buttons. That's who, Greg. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So, wow. Okay.
No, but I'm just sharing that as like kind of,
Wow.
you know, I haven't seen a whole lot of it. I've heard of it, but if that's kind of like the application of the future, because you're combining all the different things, right? Twain Direct provides the connectivity, yes, but then using, you know, natural language to communicate, like that's a beautiful user experience.
Yeah.
And then there's so many good APIs out there that do document recognition and workflow and storage. So now that we have all this collection of good web services that are available, you can really make a mashup of like the dream application. And scanning shouldn't be so hard like it still is, you know, like, you know, when I install the Twain driver, then, you know, there's all these different settings and click, 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 and then click, click, and then 15 clicks later, oh boy, I got an image. And guess what? It's the wrong side. It didn't delete the blank page. Like to Art's point, it didn't have all these like advanced settings set up. So make it super easy. And yeah, so
Right.
that's the
Right.
future.
So the Twain Direct, it does eliminate the need for users to what, install vendor specific.
That's right. It's
Is
not,
that what it does? Okay.
yeah, it's
Or-
not.
The drivers and communications between
Right.
it's non-vendor specific, right?
Right,
Yeah.
or how about and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, there's quite a few MFPs that do not come with Twain drivers.
There is.
There is.
But I think some of them you might not even know it's using Twain. You
They
know,
just don't say it.
it's just not advertised. It's not important.
Well,
to,
if you're using a push scan, right? If you're using a push scan and that's all that's available, they don't have Twain,
yes.
correct?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So in most of our manufacturers brochures that you look at, you will see whether most of them will promote we have Twain available,
Twain
Twain
compliant,
driver
yeah.
available. Right.
Twain
So
compliant,
would this
yeah.
help connectivity to those machines that weren't offering a Twain driver?
It would allow the manufacturer, and now this is up to the manufacturers because yeah, they have their own way of connectivity. But if they could participate in the overall ecosystem of connecting easier to software applications and harmonizing with even competitive scanning devices, if they're going to offer a better service and more functionality through their machines, and they have a unique feature, maybe like the ultrasonic double feed detection, right? I'm just taking that as an example. Or maybe they have barcode recognition or OCR, some kind of unique where their machine's still going to stand out, even though a lot of machines can connect, via universal driver like Twain Direct. It still makes them valuable, right? So I would say that, and just very honestly, like a lot of the scanner manufacturers and the MFP manufacturers, they would prefer that people, get stuck in their ecosystem with kind of their proprietary technologies.
Correct. Yep.
But I think the world likes openness and likes flexibility and likes not to be, trapped in a particular ecosystem. The
Right.
MFPs, because they have enough CPU and memory and storage, and they can have that whole all that stuff self-contained and offer all that functionality.
Got it.
But
got
when
it.
yeah,
Now, so I just wanted to just give a little reminder to everybody, we're at the halfway point in our show today. And our show today is sponsored by the TWAIN Working Group. And we're here talking with Kevin Neal and Greg Walters. And we've been speaking, good 30 minutes about TWAIN Working Group.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. All right. So Kevin, let me read this to you and see if it summarizes our conversation so far, right? This is a little content about the working group, right? Twain Direct eliminates the needs for users to install vendor specific drivers, which we covered, right? Which I think is a big deal. And communicate between scanning devices and image capture devices. But here's something: it supports direct network communications between mobile and or desktop applications and document scanning devices, including cloud platforms. So what piqued my interest is the direct. What does that mean?
so directly from application to hardware.
Okay.
Before you install the driver, and then the software application communicates to the driver that's on the PC, then communicates to the scanner. So it was negotiating the USB cable, but now
Okay.
Twain goes directly to the hardware.
Okay. All right. So the quick benefit of that is,
Well, you don't have the cost of a PC, like the operating system. You don't have to have antivirus software. You don't have to have
sure. Okay. Yeah,
all,
you're
all
not
that
going
stuff.
through that. All right. All right. Yeah, I missed that one. Okay. So you're not going up through that environment. You're going direct. So you don't have the whole thing there. The whole. All right. Very good. Cool.
Yeah, so even PC costs, like a cheap PC costs
Yeah.
$500, right? So if you're buying 50 scanners times 500, that's pretty significant, right? So getting rid of that, but also the burden, right? An IT
yeah.
department or somebody needs to maintain the PCs, update the PC, Windows updates, and all this kind of stuff. Also, and I've mentioned this probably before to a lot of people, but this is 100% operating system agnostic. And what does that mean? Like the world of desktop Windows systems, sure, it's probably still the majority of the PCs out there, but guess what? The shift towards Linux is happening fast. In fact, the shift towards virtualized desktops is Citrix, VMware, Microsoft Cloud PC, right? Where these are virtualized desktops, and you get, you download or you stream the operating system to you, and guess what? USB connectivity is really difficult. So a way that you can use scanners in an environment, Linux and Mac and PC and virtualized desktops, 100% compatible because it's just an API. It's not a driver that goes over the USB cable. Guess what? All of a sudden, a deal or an ISV can address a much huger market than just pure Microsoft desktop operating systems. And that's a big deal because guess what? And to your point, Greg, like what you read about the description of integrating with cloud applications and mobile.
Right.
Again, this is what people will probably use as an interface. I walk up, I only have my phone. I don't even carry my laptop. I don't have the desktop. How am I going to interface with these devices? And you interface via your mobile device, and that's and being an API like that, you can basically extend the network. You're not behind the firewall, right? You're integrating with a cloud server. Again, we have something called TWAIN Cloud, which is basically a cloud server where you register all your TWAIN Direct scanners to the cloud server, and your applications communicating to the server, not directly to the scanners. So basically, we've taken that PC where I install the driver, and it's now on this cloud service. So that's where you can expose and connect and add these kind of web services that I was talking about. So it's very mobile friendly, it's very cloud friendly, it's very integration friendly.
Would you say it's similar to serverless print?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
100%. That's a perfect. Now, print evolves much quicker because there's so many more devices sold and bigger manufacturers involved. But I say that often, the scanner market lags the printer market probably by like 5 years. But AirPrint and internet print and like most printers don't even have USB anymore, right? They're just like put them on your Wi-Fi network and then it works, right? So scanners are getting there, but not quite. So that's where TWAIN Direct comes in and can help. But yeah, I think that's 100% correct. Yeah.
Interesting. So today I heard about Google's coming back with Google Glass.
Yeah. So you got
did you hear about
3,600.
that?
Yeah, you got $3,600.
I heard $5,000.
You mean like the goggles, the Google goggles?
Yeah.
The Google, whatever. So really, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I actually heard that this morning. Supposedly a bunch of different features where it's much better than the previous. But what I heard is that through your glasses, you would have your entire PC to view. You could see through it, of course, but you could actually see everything that's I guess is on your PC.
Yeah, Art, it's the same as the Apple one that was just released. It's the same basic idea, right? The whole Apple device is on this thingamajigger here.
So,
other than that, I don't know.
So could you actually scan by just looking at pages?
Yes.
Yeah. See, it's a camera recognition device too. So you can take pictures and take videos, and those need to be processed too, right? You can take pictures of books and videos, and then I want to tag those, right? Because computers, you send up a video, it doesn't have any knowledge of that, right?
It's horrible. It's horrible. You use your iPhone, right? And if you want to go find a picture, you're shit out of luck. Unless and you have 3,000, 5,000 pictures, you can't find anything.
Got to tag them, yeah, exactly.
Well, if you're the occasional user that doesn't know nothing about tagging, the pictures, right?
Especially this generation now, there's 15,000 pictures these folks have.
30,000 pictures, right?
I would throw AI at that though. That's what I would do.
Yeah, but you
have to upload your 30,000 pictures, right?
You got to collect the information. Collecting it ain't so easy. But if you got a glass and you're just walking around, just throwing your head around and automatically happen, then that's easy. It's easy.
Could you give it an audio tag?
Yeah.
Where you are?
You got to think beyond tags. It won't, the tags, just hear me out on this one. It may be crazy, but it's like OCR. right? In the olden days, we tagged the PDF because we couldn't get into the document and do a search on whatever was on that PDF or in that image. Now we can through character recognition thing, but we tagged it, we filed it. The same thing will be with video and audio. It's like right now we're thinking in it, well, I got to name this thing, I have to tag the picture, blah blah blah, but it won't need to be that way in the future because all the content that you want to search on is within that file, right? And same with the picture. So I'm not sure how it'll work on the images, but it will. But on the audio and even the video, it's just text, and text is just data, and data can be sorted and searched.
Correct. Yeah, I
So
see. Yeah, I'm just seeing that as a real pain for those
yeah, you won't.
those that have all these pictures and they want to go back and find those pictures.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, and it's I can really take us out there, guys. I don't even know if I want to go there, but here's the latest thing is, and you swerved into it. So when you talk about the goggles and the interface and your computer's on the screen, yeah, and you haven't even talked about AI, but you throw stuff like that, there's no more keyboards. And we talked about speech, right? That's the interface. The whole next evolution, which may not be that far away, is no more keyboards. The interface, the user experience is pretty much oral and verbal.
Horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's going to be too slow. So who knows what's next?
But I want to know why I can't find my pictures easier. Isn't there something out there that will say, okay, bring me up all my pictures with palm trees, or give me all my pictures with dogs, or give me all the pictures I've ever taken with Greg having a drink?
It'll happen. I bet
But
it's
it
out
can't
there
happen
already.
now, correct?
I think it's out there, Art.
There is. So
Yeah.
So speaking of tagging, Greg, you mentioned tagging, and then Art finding your stuff. So there's a little hidden gem by the TWAIN Working Group that I haven't mentioned, and maybe you guys don't even know about this, but we have created a PDF-R standard. It's for PDF raster.
I was just looking at it.
Yeah, and it's a really cool thing. So what it means is it's a subset of the PDF standard, so it's all backward compatible. But what it means is that the TWAIN Working Group has an ISO standard, and we can do things like embed really rich metadata into a PDF file, meaning that what you guys are just talking about. We can have a very advanced, maybe AI classification waterfall service that it could classify with all these keywords, like you're saying, Art. It knows it's a food picture, it's a breakfast, it's eggs, and all these keywords, and the classification engine could feed back to the PDF-R file and put all the keywords in there so that you search it. It could even do things like, do a semantic index of related terms, right? So if you search for eggs and you find Knudsen or something, or whatever egg manufacturer. So if you search for a related term, then you can find stuff. So because we have the PDF-R standard and that's within our control, we could do things like put a really rich metadata IA set of search terms in there. So this is something very important, and PDF-R is a very secure, lightweight PDF version. It was optimized for mobile and cloud. Again, back to your point about, the connectivity with TWAIN Direct was meant for mobile and cloud. So this PDF-R file format, that PDF-R, you could do it on your own, or the TWAIN Direct scanners actually create PDF-R files directly from the scanner. And what that means is you don't have to license a PDF-R engine. You don't have to install PDF-R PDF software. So that's kind of a hidden gem. I tend to overlook it and don't talk about it, but it's really important because what I've learned from participating in different groups like the PDF Association is that now TIFF used to be the #1 standard in capture,
Right.
but now they scan directly to PDF, right? They don't go TIFF and then
Right.
PDF. TIFF
PDF.
they used to have TIFF used to be a standard because compression was better and things like that, but that's not the case anymore.
Interesting.
Well, hey, along those lines, so I know that there's this application on chat or whatever it was that you can take a picture, Art, of your refrigerator, and it'll tell you the recipes that you can use based on what the picture showed AI. So just imagine what's happening for it to do that. Right.
So I'm gonna be a little bit stupid here. You've got to open the door of the refrigerator, correct?
There are refrigerators.
Oh yeah,
There
with
are
glass, right, with glass.
No, with
faces.
cameras inside.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
So not only can I tell, oh, I need milk, but
Oh,
gee whiz,
wow.
you've got
Oh,
A,
wow.
B, C, and D, and F. So you can make these 3 things in a recipe. So it is recognizing what's in there, taking that, knowing what it is, and saying, all right, we can make veal scallopini.
Right. But would it see all the stuff that's moldy and decrepit in the back of
Yes,
the fridge?
we
that
have
hasn't been
detected
out in
mold in
years?
your cheese, sir. Yeah, I know,
So-
but that's wow.
Interesting. So interesting too, which I always thought about, and it probably can be done with IoT, is to scan everything that goes into your computer.
That's what I would suggest. Capture everything. You never know what you might use, and just
You guys
get
are
it
killing
all.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've been
just
doing that with Evernote for like 20 years now. I'm afraid to even look in there. I mean,
Interesting.
everything tagged. I have websites, pictures. There was
Right.
like 4 or 5 years when I would just take a picture and it would automatically send it to Evernote. I didn't even know it. I forgot I set it up. That's
Wow.
years ago. So,
Hey, so we've got about 10 minutes left for the show, and I'd really like to get back to something that intrigued me,
mhm.
and that would be Groundhog Day.
okay.
I find it very intriguing as well.
And Kevin, where do you live?
In San Jose, California.
You guys got a groundhog out there that
We
you pull out of the freaking hole in the ground?
we don't, unfortunately. We watch TV and we watch Pennsylvania every morning on Groundhog Day, so that's our annual groundhog.
No one needs
Day.
a groundhog. We've got it in New Jersey somewhere.
We have one in New Jersey, one in Staten Island. Staten Island is Staten Island Chuck.
No kidding.
Yeah, he
I
actually
didn't know
he
that.
actually got killed a couple of years ago
Oh,
when the governor of New York dropped him by accident.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you.
wow.
And then of course you got Puxatawny Phil. And do you guys pull any furry creatures out of the hole in Wisconsin?
Yes, but has nothing to do with if there's winter or summer. It's anytime.
So wrong.
Yeah, that is so wrong. But it's fun when they bring it into the bar at night. Look what I pulled out of this
Right.
hole.
Right.
Oh, man.
So the 2 groundhogs actually saw their shadows today, which means early spring.
Nice.
So Kevin, I don't think you got to worry about that where you are, right?
Good.
Jose.
Yeah,
Beautiful up there.
we've been needing rain, and we got it the past couple days, but now it's bright and sunny, so it's probably springtime's right around the corner from us.
So where is
wow.
San Jose? Actually,
It's about-
geographically in the state.
It's Northern California. It's about 45 miles south of San Francisco. So in the Bay Area, we're on the very south side of the South Bay of San Francisco.
How
It's,
far from LA?
LA it's about 500 miles. It's a
Okay.
7 or 8 hour drive.
Yeah, it's a long drive either way up the
Yeah.
coast or in the valley.
Yeah, everybody says, "Oh, we're going to LA. We'll come see you." And I say, "That's a long way, right? That's a day drive or a flight. So it's a big state." Yeah.
Got it.
It's beautiful up there, man.
So I do have one question for you guys, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not related to scanning. Well, it's sort of, kind of, but you all the 3 of us have talked about Gen AI and the benefits of AI, and we just talked about it a little bit right here. We could do tagging and all that kind of stuff. So, so I've been just using the Taylor Swift thing as a kind of just icebreaker, and it's top of mind, and people are concerned about it, right? Fake images and fake videos. So that's all good. And I read something from Microsoft because rumor is it was their system there where somebody went on there and they did some prompts and used their system to create this. And now Microsoft came out and said, "Oh, guess how they're going to fix this?" And I was like, I kind of rolled my eyes,
Right.
Because they they're blocking keywords, right? So if you type in Taylor Swift, then you can't generate image or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's such an old-fashioned way of like fixing a problem, because if you try to block like a brute force attacks on the internet, right? There's like millions and millions of IP addresses. Are you going to block every single IP address? Are you going to block every phone number that calls you on a spam call? Are you going to block keywords? So I can't imagine a smart company like that using kind of an old archaic kind of way to solve a problem. I mean, so my question is, do you predict a wave where instead of just the benefits of AI, we've got to get defensive, and what kind of defenses around AI can we implement to make sure this is authentic content? This is authentic login. This is an authentic person, and how can, because deepfakes are becoming a real problem, and we won't know what to trust anymore, because voice is very easily duplicated and images are easily copied, and Photoshop's very easy to use, and you can just go on something and create pictures, right? So
Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
What do you think, Art?
Wild Wild West that
I
in
have-
its infancy. Unfortunately, governments will intervene and say that we can solve the process.
Hmm.
And then it becomes probably even a bigger problem once government intervenes with regulations and compliances.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going to take some information from documents, right? Scanned documents. There's many ways I can work around some scanned documents to change those if I needed to.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but we're intelligent. We find workarounds, and I don't think any compliance or government integration or government interference is I don't think it's gonna change anything.
Yeah.
Just my gut feeling on, fakes and fake documents and, I don't know, maybe that's more to you too, Neil, I mean, Kevin, about,
Yeah.
how, the whole world would have to go to secure PDFs.
Yeah, well, I won't predict the future, and I'll let you answer, Greg, because I
will.
want your answer.
Yeah,
But just what I'm reading is exactly right. The government's like going to crack down on deep fakes, and this picture of Taylor Swift was like shared by 45 million people, like in just like no time at all. Like, so once it's out there, you can't take it back, right? So
that's correct.
my prediction is something will happen. I don't know what, but that's why I ask you guys is like, so Greg, I'd be interested, like, if it's
Well, I'll tell you what, this is core to everything. This goes to the Constitution, believe it or not. This goes to the freedom of information. This goes to everything that is core on the Western civilization. I try and remind people of the National Enquirer. Remember that?
Yeah.
Everyone knew that it was fake, or was it? It didn't even matter. It was a story. I mean, they had pictures of aliens talking with stars at the time, right? It was literally a cut and a paste of something that isn't true. So I imagine that 45 million people who saw that thing with Taylor Swift knew it wasn't Taylor Swift. That's my gut. Say it was only 80% of it that did. So there was at least enough doubt out there because people knew who Taylor Swift was. Now, if that would have been one of the Kardashians, right? That's one thing. But I also think this is all temporary. This is temporary because we won't need to create a Taylor Swift or a Kardashian. We'll just need to, and when I say we, down to the individual, if I want to see someone, whatever, doing something, I would say create someone who looks like Taylor Swift and Kardashians, create something totally new and totally different, right? Or someone who looks exactly like Taylor Swift. What are you going to do then? Right? It isn't her. I created a likeness of down to everything, but I gave her a beauty mold like Marilyn Monroe. Here, she doesn't have one now, so that's not her. So I'm saying we're starting to split hairs. And when we get the governments involved, it doesn't, you're right. It just sweeps everything, right? It's like, okay, now we're going to not let anyone talk about Taylor Swift in such a way. It blocks even real stuff. And it isn't the United States. Here we go. The United States has a really big role here to lead for the rest of the world. Once again, because when I hear a bunch of people over in Europe, they are strapping down everything because they're scared, and I don't mean this wrong, but their mentality is hierarchical. Everything, and it's almost remember the caste systems, right? There were kings and queens, and you were born a cobbler. Your dad's a cobbler. You're going to be a cobbler. Your kid's going to be a cobbler. That is totally foreign to us. You take that attitude and that mentality and throw it over here and say, okay, there's a bunch of people that say, well, yeah, Taylor Swift didn't do that, but some guy invented that, right? Someone had enough imagination to pull this whole thing. That's what we're thinking. Some of us think, well, that there's some talent there, right? And we look beyond that. All I'm saying is, it's not going to matter. Royalties, trademarks, copyrights are gone because it doesn't. If you want to hear a song that sounds like Post Malone but isn't Post Malone, boom, you can hear it. Right? If you want to combine Frank Sinatra with Elvis Presley, give me a song that sounds like that because I'm in this kind of mood, boom, it'll do that. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to pay Elvis Presley. You weren't paying anyway. What I see is that whole mobbish mafia type of royalties and copyrights and trademark and lawyers who are making money off of that, that was all made up.
Yeah.
And that's about ready to be blown away. Now they're going to fight like hell. But I think, I think the genie's out. It's too late. It is too late. And now, okay, now what do we do? It comes back to us individually. Like I said earlier, if I see a naked picture of Taylor Swift and I know from what I know about her, she's not going to do that, that's a fake. All right. If I hear Joe Biden or watch Joe Biden telling a bunch of people to get in trains because you're going to go to these, shower camps somewhere, I know that's not true. Right. Because now that's me. So what we have to do is really start to reteach critical thinking. This whole thing circles right back to us as individuals. That's what I say. It's like, it's my responsibility to know what's fake and what's not fake. And the schools and the education system are not teaching that critical analysis, but that's going to change too. I mean, what you saw with the Harvard, all this stuff is starting to be exposed. And if you see heavy resistance to AI, when you look at who's resisting, go one step deeper. Education is resisting AI because they're the ones who are in charge of how to educate. When you say AI is wide open, the student now says, this is what I want to learn, right? It may be nothing, it may be stupid, but it might be Socrates instead of critical race, just as an example, right? Now the teachers in the education system don't have that control anymore. And it's education, it's these C-levels, it's corporations. You're watching IBM, UPS, General Motors, Ford, all telling everyone to come back into the office because they see the end is coming. This is the last throes of a business model from the 1800s. This is it. And it's too late. I don't know where it's going to end, but it's too late. So, yeah, that's my thought on the whole Taylor Swift thing and the fakes and all that. Hell, if I want to write a story, I can write a story up from my whatever fake. And I say, listen, ChatGPT, spin it as Edgar Allan Poe. Out it comes. And then I can go through and make it. But it's influenced by Edgar Allan Poe, whatever. But I could have read every book that Edgar Allan Poe wrote, and then my writing would reflect whatever I read. It's the same thing as asking ChatGPT to do it. Spit it out to me. Okay, instead of me reading it all, I trust that. And it also comes down to individual AI. That's the next big thing. That's why we don't need a keyboard or an interface or an application or WordPerfect or Excel or CRM, because all the stuff is in our hands. It's AI. There's no Windows anymore. No Windows. Imagine that. No Linux. No iOS. It's AI.
Yeah.
Because we don't need it. And that's happening. That's why these NVIDIA chips with the burnt-in AI, and that's the first step in a bunch of steps. That's why HP and all these guys are really looking forward to the next 5 years, because all their hardware that's in the field right now will effectively be obsolete. So you got to get a new computer. And so anyway, that's a long story short, but there you go.
Yeah. So I'll do a partial close.
I love it.
Zager and Evans, the year 2525.
Oh,
And I'll let Greg close the show to remind everybody.
I would quote another sci-fi book, Childhood's End. It's not as rosy and cheerful, but there is a bunch of good stuff, and then I won't leave it. It ends with the Blue Danube, and we'll leave it there. But anyway, okay, wow, now I get to go in the weekend with all that on my head. Thank you.
Yes,
There
you
you
do.
go.
we all do.
All right, well, we'll left you with that. Well, guys, it's really good. Thank you very much, Art, Kevin.
Yeah.
Great session. Looking forward to sharing this over and over and over with a lot of. Actually, this is chock full of cool stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank you
always
very
is.
much.
What a pleasure, guys. Appreciate it so much.
Yeah, we'd like to thank TWAIN Working Group for sponsoring this event, and we hope to have them back for more sponsorships. And again, Greg, always a pleasure. Kevin, I enjoy having you on all the time. It's a lot of interesting thoughts from all of us.
Very
Big
good.
ideas. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
All right,
Appreciate
well.
it. Appreciate the
All right.
opportunity.